really pull teeth to be able to get the federal government to detain an illegal alien who was apprehended in South Florida. It was a relatively minor offense. They had held him for as long as they could, but he was wanted on charges involving rape and sexual abuse in Oregon. And Oregon did not want to accept this individual. They weren't interested in seeking justice, apparently, on behalf of the victims, potential victims of his crimes. And so the plan was just to release him on the streets of Florida. Well, that is unacceptable. And so we fought back, FDLE, Highway Safety, Director Kerner, as well as Mark Glass, all the way up to the director of ICE to get them to say, no, we need to put a detainer on this individual. And how pathetic is it that we're in a situation in this country where there'd even be a question that you would release on the street somebody illegally in this country to begin with, but then is facing sexual assault charges in another state. So thanks for Florida for leaning in. We're proud of that, and we're going to continue to do it. But honestly, it shouldn't even have to come to that. Today's another example of the fact that we are, despite of what the federal government may do, other states may do, other localities may do, we're a law and order state, and we're going to ensure law and order in this state. I had mentioned last month when we were down here, we had the mayor when we were here for a different event, and I said, look, when it comes to things like spring break, we in the state, at the state level, we stand ready to help our local communities maintain order during this time. Florida is a very welcoming state. We welcome people to come and have a good time. What we don't welcome is criminal activity. What we don't welcome is mayhem and people that want to wreak havoc on our communities. And make no mistake about it, if you're coming here in order to enjoy Florida, enjoy to have a good time, fine. If you're coming for these other reasons, if you're committing crimes, causing havoc, you are going to pay the price. And we will hold you accountable because that's what we do here. I know some people may be coming from other jurisdictions where they can get away with this type of activity. That is not going to fly in the Sunshine State. So we reached out to not just Miami Beach, but communities all across the state and said, listen, rather than have it to where things get out of hand and then the state is asked to come in and provide support, why not just have a plan going in where you utilize state support so a lot of this stuff doesn't even happen to begin with? And to the mayor's credit, he immediately leaped at that opportunity. But then so many other jurisdictions around the state have asked us to provide support. And so FHP reached out to all these jurisdictions, and we now have a total of 17 law enforcement agencies throughout the state of Florida that have requested at least 140 troopers to be deployed in their counties and cities to assist with maintaining order during spring break. And Florida, I'm proud to say, is honoring every single one of those requests. This includes reinforcing communities throughout South Florida with over 60 additional state troopers. We're also going to have another 60 in other spring break hotspots like Daytona Beach and Panama City Beach. We will also activate 24 quick response troopers in Bay, Volusia, Broward, and Dade counties for immediate response to any incidents requiring additional law enforcement personnel. We've also activated through the State Highway Patrol aviation drones, mobile command vehicles to assist with traffic management and logistics. And on top of that, FHP troopers will be utilizing Miami Beach Police mobile automated license plate readers throughout the city. This will help identify subjects with outstanding warrants or those that are driving stolen vehicles. So those are not folks we want to be at our spring break parties. So we stand by ready to support even more. Now here in Miami Beach, a lot of our folks will be focusing on things like traffic mitigation, crowd control. There'll be barricades, there'll be DUI checkpoints, of course, parking and lane closures as appropriate. To ensure the safety of the surrounding communities, there will also be increased security for residential neighborhoods. The city is also instituting a variety of measures ranging from curfews to bag checks at beach access points and targeted beach hours to ensure law and order. Uniformed officers will be patrolling in vehicles, ATVs, bicycles, and on foot. And Coast Guard, Florida Fish and Wildlife, and Miami Beach Police Department's Marine Patrol will increase enforcement along the city's waterways. And so I appreciate the local leaders that have stepped up and understood that ensuring public safety is really your first task when you're elected to be in office in a local community. I mean, that is where the rubber meets the road on law and order. And if you don't have it locally, then you're just not going to have it. And so they've stepped up. They brought plans in place. And then we at the state level, we wanted to be partners in this. We offered support. There were requests for support, and we have honored those requests and will continue to do so throughout the month of March. And this first week is always a little slower. As we get in the next 2 weeks, that's kind of more of the high time for that. And so I think you'll see going into it, particularly in a place like Miami Beach, it's going to be a dramatically improved posture right off the bat. And I think the prospects for having these next few weeks go by smoother as a result has increased. And of course, the state stands by and is willing to help out with any additional resources that are at our disposal. So this is the state's got a lot going on. It's a fun place to be, especially if you're in some of these other jurisdictions. I can understand you come and you really have an opportunity to have fun, and we want to see people do that. But we also are going to insist that people respect the law, that order is kept in the streets, and that our residents and local businesses are not negatively impacted by people who are here visiting. And I think we have a formula in place to be able to do that. So I want to thank the FHP, FDLE for what they've done to help prepare our local communities and being on call and willing to answer the call to provide this additional level of support. I mean, in reality, a state can just say you're on your own. I mean, we could have done that and then said, see, you guys aren't doing it. But that's just not, I think, the way that you engineer the best outcomes. So I thank the folks in state government who've worked really hard and appreciate all the hard work that's been done in communities like Miami Beach and beyond. So with that said, we're going to hear from our Miami Beach mayor, Stephen Miner. Where are you at? Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Governor DeSantis, and thank you for being here in Miami Beach. This is such a perfect sign. We don't come up with this in Miami Beach. This comes from the state of Florida. But if I had to pick, this is exactly what I would have put up here. So it's perfect. But we can never take it for granted, law and order. The voices that we hear around the country for defund the police, they're here too. The voices that we hear where prosecutors act more like public defenders, they're here too. And when we hear about bail reform that's been a disaster in other parts of the country, it was proposed here too. And I was actually the first one to publicly expose that. And we as a commission, I'll even give a shout out to Commissioner Alex Fernandez, who was also instrumental. The governor actually stepped in on that. We actually made sure that did not come to the state of Florida and certainly here in Miami-Dade County and Miami Beach. But we have to keep fighting. It's not an easy fight because those same instruments and voices that are trying to bring disorder, they're here too. So when I started talking about law and order about a year ago, and I started substituting the word law and order instead of public safety, there were some people who are friends of mine, supporters, said, maybe you should tone it down a little bit. It's a little strong. I said, that's exactly the point. We want to be strong. We want to be strong and send that message. And I can tell you, I'm so appreciative of the partnership that we have with the governor and the state of Florida, FHP, FDLE. I spoke to the governor about a month ago, and then at the press conference, the governor was very clear and unwavering. You have our commitment. We're a partner. We're going to help you. Just ask. Whatever you need, just ask. And that message has been sent when I've spoken to Dave Kerner, and I've spoken to anyone in law enforcement. We had multiple meetings, and we went out to Tallahassee last week to meet with everyone. And the message has been clear. And actually, not only have they met because they came up with a great plan, I actually asked for more. I said, it's great. Really appreciative of everything you're doing, but can we do a little more? This is a pivotal moment for our city spring break. It's been a problem for the last several years. We've had shootings in a small area of our city and only a handful of weeks. And they came through. They came through, and they gave us even more than we asked. We're going to see about 45 Florida troopers out in our streets the next couple of weeks, which is amazing, in addition to, obviously, our extensive Miami Beach presence, which is so appreciative. But really, law and order doesn't happen just in the month of March. It's 365 days a year. It's sending the message every single day that we are going to enforce our laws here. And what does that mean? I'll give you just two quick examples. So one of the issues we were having is drug dealers who were getting arrested by our Miami Beach police, who are putting their safety on the line every time they have to make that arrest. And a lot of the cases weren't getting prosecuted because the drugs weren't being tested. So I brought an initiative that our commission unanimously approved, that we are going to pay for 2 drug technicians who are going to be embedded in the Miami-Dade County lab to ensure that every single arrest in Miami Beach where there is narcotics involved is going to be tested so we can make sure we prosecute that crime. It's making sure that misdemeanor crimes, quality of life crimes, are prosecuted. And we're doing that. And our municipal prosecution team, which is the only such municipal prosecutor in the Miami-Dade County, we are at a 90% success rate on prosecuting those misdemeanors. And I'll tell you something, it's noticed by our residents, it's noticed by our businesses. Everyone thrives and everyone succeeds when we ensure that our laws are enforced. So I just want to end off, first of all, again, thanking, because we can't do it alone. As much as our police, the rest of the year, this time we need the extra help. We're getting it from Miami-Dade County, other enforcement agencies, but obviously the presence and the message that we are sending, that spring break is over, we're breaking up with spring break, is made loud and clear. You know, one of the things I mentioned when I was inaugurated as mayor about 3 months ago, and it was an idea that I had some time ago, that I wanted to create a first-of-its-kind position in the mayor's office, a public safety enforcement advisor, someone who literally, that is their job, that they're going to be focused and reporting directly to me to be focused on these issues, whether it be from policing to prosecution to the judiciary. And we did hire someone. He's starting on Monday. He's actually here, Christopher McClenick. I want to give him and we're looking forward to that. I do want to give some thank yous before I end, because as much as I stand there and represent our city, we are a team. There's so many people involved, and obviously I can't thank everybody, but we have our commissioners. Commissioner Alex Fernandez is here, Commissioner Laura Dominguez, Commissioner Bott, Commissioner Joe Magazine, Commissioner David Suarez. We also have our city manager, Alina Hudak, Deputy City Manager Eric Carpenter, our police chief, Wayne Jones, and really the men and women in blue who really go out there every day and keep us safe. And my team, my Chief of Staff, Veronica Coley, my Senior Policy Advisor, Daniel Summer, my Communications Liaison, Daphne Saba, and Blake Govin, my aide, and of course, my wife, Shannon. Thank you for being here. I'll just finish off on this note. Law and order is a win for Miami Beach. It's a win for the state of Florida, and it is a win for our entire country. God bless you all.
Well, we have the best governor, and apparently we have the best mayor here in Miami Beach, and it's awesome to work with you. It's always a pleasure to see. Yeah, let's give him a round of applause. I can see your passion for protecting your residents, and I see that in Governor DeSantis. And quite frankly, the folks standing behind me, the real heroes, they want to be empowered. They want to be able to do their job. They didn't get into law enforcement not to protect the public. And so thank you for having this relationship with us. For us, I can tell you, and I think Commissioner Glass will say the same thing, when the governor orders us and directs us to go to these different missions, and I'll talk briefly about Texas. We'll talk about this mission right here. We'll talk about Operation Faithful Service, where our state troopers and agents were in the synagogues and temples. Believe it or not, law enforcement is not always the nicest profession, but what we experience during these special missions, and I know we're going to see it here, Mayor, is that the community really, really appreciates law enforcement. And I heard story and story over and over again how day in and day out these folks in the temples would reach out to these troopers. They would provide them dinner. They would provide them laughter. They would provide them fellowship. And I heard from hundreds and hundreds of state troopers, how honored they were to be on these special missions, how good it felt to get that feedback from the community. And so I know that's going to happen here. We don't have to be victims every year. The city doesn't have to be victimized every year. And so new leadership is stepping up. We have a law and order governor, and we're going to get the job done, not for you, but with you, Mayor, and we're delighted to be on your team. Beyond that, we'll have a statewide footprint. We'll be in 17 different communities. We'll always have the opportunity and privilege to serve the state in any way that the governor sees fit, and it's an honor to be on the team. And with that, thank you again for your leadership, sir. Thank you, Governor, for having us as part of the team. We look forward to breaking up with spring break, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, and Governor DeSantis for making this a law and order state, and Mr. Mayor for a law and order city, so we are very appreciative of that. I'm FDLE Commissioner Mark Glass, and we're fortunate to live in such a beautiful place where our beaches are second to none, and it's our job to keep Florida beautiful. And we have been given the tools from our governor to make sure that we can enforce these rules and laws throughout our state to ensure that your city and your community stays beautiful. Executive Director Kerner stated that Operation Faithful Service, my son was part of that. He was a state trooper. He came down here, and I just want to say to the community down here, thank you so much. You made him feel at home. He enjoyed it, and he thought he was doing a lot of good for the community. So I want to say thank you. Thank you, Dave, for leadership, and Colonel, thank you for your leadership on that one. Our citizens and businesses and law-abiding visitors deserve no less than a safe and clean place to live and play. Our FDLE agents and analysts are working hard. Now, you heard all the numbers with Florida State Troopers out there, and it's having that visibility, and they're there. They're second to none. But you see my agents up here. They won't always be in clothes like this. They're actually going to be dressed and looking just like you are out there in the community. And during these holiday areas through spring break, they will be out there paying attention and watching. They're also providing support to Miami Beach Police, and they're also making sure that we have the logistics and the other law enforcement capabilities come in at a moment's notice to make sure we can move our resources smartly and efficiently. Now, on a lot of that, too, our FDLE analysts, which you don't see here, do the lion's share of the work. They pay attention to every suspicious activity reporting that is sent up. Whether you utilize, our schools are using Fortify Florida, whether you do the See Something, Say Something campaign, which is, I'll do the plug here, 1-855-FLA-SAFE. But we require, and we would love to have you just call 911. But if you feel like it doesn't meet that criteria and it's just something suspicious, go with the 855-FLA-SAFE, and our analysts will look at that. We are looking at all the events that are going on throughout the state, and they're paying attention to that to make sure they get the chief all the information he needs to make sound decisions on movement of his forces in and around to make sure that you're protected. We can't do it alone, so we need your help on that one. So also, I just want to say this is a very special state. We have a great governor who is also given me and Dave and the Colonel support to ensure that your safety is done and that we make sure that we're taking care of our people and our tourists. Thank you very much, Governor. We appreciate it.
So we've got obviously a few more weeks of this, and you're going to continue to see the state lean in. We want to be working with our local communities. I thank everybody who's going to be a part of these operations. I think it's really, really important. And this is just kind of one instance, but I think the overall approach to law and order is one in which we support the people that wear the uniform because we understand that that's important. We've done things. We have a program that's going to get re-upped again. I anticipate this week when the legislature finishes the budget to continue these $5,000 bonuses for people that we recruit into the state of Florida to serve at all levels of law enforcement. That's a far cry from what a lot of other jurisdictions have done, where they've really turned their back on the people that wear the uniform. We also have laws that are serious about holding people accountable. And the mayor mentioned when they were talking about doing the bail stuff down here. We leaned in because, and look, this is not rocket science. They have done that in other jurisdictions, and it has made these communities much less safe when you keep recycling and putting people back on the street to commit more crimes. So you can look to see a lot of the policies have been tried in other jurisdictions, and they failed. So we're doing what works. We're doing what you need to do to be able to protect the public. So we're going to continue to do that, and I look forward to being able to continue working with the local folks all throughout our state on this important issue of maintaining law and order, particularly throughout the balance of the month of March. All right, any questions? Yes.
I know you said that the state is doing all the requests that you made you guys for support. Has there been any jurisdictions that Florida has offered, but those local jurisdictions have said no, we're good?
Well, by definition, I mean, we offered basically anybody. So a lot of them did not have requests, which is fine. And look, the spring break footprint is not uniform throughout our state. If you look at a place like Naples, what they would draw in terms of, particularly on the age, you're drawing a younger demographic in some other areas, some other parts of Florida. So we understand that. So yes, I mean, we've put it out there. These are the folks that have asked, and it's not surprising to see a handful of places in South Florida, the Daytona area, and then Panama City. You know, if I had to think about where we'd likely see it, those would be the places that we would see. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Governor. Chris Nelson. Today, of course, is Super Tuesday. You were running for president, and a troubling poll has come out from FAU saying that only 1 in 7 Republicans will vote for Donald Trump in the general election. Know that Nikki Haley doesn't stand a chance, and we also know that people aren't looking for the rematch of the octogenarians. It's not that's not holding high these days. And would you consider unsuspending your campaign and getting back in the race?
Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt, my man. No, look, but I don't think 1 in 7 will vote. I don't think that's probably the crux. I think the overwhelming percentage of Republicans would vote. Next, yes.
I know last year after we had some crime here in Miami Beach for spring break, you guys did surge some FHP troopers after the fact. Did you notice any difference after you did that in late March last year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't you remember that? Yeah, no, for sure. It helped, yeah. And so that was part of the reason why when I talked to the mayor, I'm like, look, let's just go in with all the resources right off the bat and mitigate, because it's one thing, problem happens, you come in and you can take some corrective action, but it's better to just prevent that from being necessary. So that was kind of the logic behind it. And different areas can approach this in different ways. We're not telling any local jurisdiction kind of how to manage their beach, how to manage this. They get elected to make those decisions, but what we're saying is we will supplement and we will provide support. And I think it proved to be effective last year when called on, and now that they're here from day one, I think will be much better.
Governor, in past years, the city of Miami Beach has, in some cases during spring break, asked the state about shutting down certain causeways entering the city when they feel like crowds have gotten too big. Is that something you discussed with the mayor, or something that the state is prepared to authorize?
So I think what FHP will do is they will just help with traffic. I mean, I don't know that. I mean, you don't necessarily anticipate closing anything, or maybe you would if something happened, but I think that would probably be unlikely. But I know that they will absolutely work with traffic patterns to be able to manage that and to be able to mitigate some of the problems. I think what happened in the past was, it was like mayhem. And so it was just like, okay, we got to get that under control. So there was a sense of, okay, they're going to work here locally to get that under control. And then I think they asked FHP to try to stop kind of, the massive flow. But I think from the beginning, they're probably going to be able to manage this a little bit. They'll be able to manage this in a way where hopefully you're not going to have to see that. But, we want to keep people safe. And I think that'll be a call. If the mayor asks for some help there, then our folks will be ready to respond. But the thing about it is, if you operate a business here, this month can be very good. But then if things get out of hand, it can be a disaster for you. People that are just looking to live their lives in residential parts of the city should not have to worry about their safety just because people are visiting during spring break. And so those are, I think, when we look at this, it's like, all right, those businesses need to do well and our residents need to be safe. I mean, those are, everything is funneled through that prism. Yes? Yep.
You mentioned state troopers will be deployed
No. So it's 60, more than 60 throughout the South Florida. So, you do have some in Fort Lauderdale. We do have some in Hollywood, where we're helping Hollywood PD, North Bay Village. Now, obviously, a North Bay Village is not going to require as many troopers as Miami Beach, but it's spread out amongst all those. The majority of that is Miami Beach. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, we fulfilled the requests that are there. These are what people have asked for. If there needs to be more, then we would do it. And I think what you'll see, this will be very dynamic. So, hopefully we don't come to this, but if there is something that happens in one part of the state, there likely won't be happening uniformly around the state, so you could even move resources. So there's a lot of options that we'll be able to do. No, I mean, I think options are on the table. We'll see I don't anticipate that being necessary, but if it is, then there are certain things that you have certain tools at your disposal to be able to help facilitate public safety. Again, I don't think that's likely, but we obviously will have an ability to respond appropriately, and that'll be likely in consultation with the local. They would probably be them asking us for additional support, and then we would see maybe this would be necessary. I don't anticipate it coming to that. And then any measures that we would have a right to do, we would want to do that in consultation. Because, again, this is a bottom-up, law and order is bottom-up. And, you start on the ground locally. These are the folks that are here every day. They know how to set the policies. It's not for me to come and to dictate around every policy, but we do want to be helpful, and we want to make sure that people are kept safe. So if we have to do more to make sure that residents are safe or to make sure businesses are doing well, then of course we have the ability to do that. But this is really unprecedented. I don't think we've ever seen the state come in this forward-leaning going into a season like this. Of course, the mayor here has made this, I think, appropriately an important issue to take seriously. So all things considered, I think that we're as good as prepared as we've ever been throughout my time in the state of Florida. So, all right, well, we'll be back. Maybe we'll come back in April and be able to say that we had a great March. Thanks. This way.
Team looking sharp.